nervous. It's my big comeback. Hey guys, welcome to or back to my channel. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're not new here, you'll know that I haven't been here in a while because I haven't posted in half a year. But anyway, so I'm so excited for my first video coming back. I'm going to be doing a mid-year wrap-up / mid-year tag. My goal for the year is 50 and I'm at 25. So I'm like perfectly on track. We definitely had some slower months and then some like better months, but all in all, I'm just happy that I'm at my halfway point, at the halfway point of the year. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start by giving you in order all the books I've read so far this year and the rating I gave for them, and then after that I'm going to do some mid-year book tag questions and then go into depth about a few of these books. So let's just start with January.
Sit. Lie down.
Sometimes I feel like everybody. Okay, so in January, I only read 3 books. I started the year off by reading It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I was really, really excited for this to come out. I did wait a while to read it because I'm pretty sure this came out in October and I didn't read it until January. I gave this a 4-star, but I think I'm going to change it to 3.5 looking back. It was good, but I feel like It Ends With Us didn't really need a sequel because I feel like this did not do as much for me as the first one did, but it wasn't terrible, so 3.5. I then read an electronic copy of Wild Souls by Faith Prince. The author actually reached out to me and asked me to do a review on Instagram, so I did that on my Bookstagram. I gave that one a 2-star. I did enjoy the story. I just feel like it's made for a younger audience. It was definitely, I did like the concept of it. You know what? I think I'm gonna bump it up to like 2.5. I enjoyed the concept of it. It was different. I had never read anything like it before, but I just think I was too old for it. So 2.5, but I feel like your age and just taste in books could definitely alter that. Okay, and the last one I read in January was My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This book I gave a 4-star. I gave it a 4-star. This was a Heather pick at Indigo, and I enjoyed it. It was a bit intense. If you don't know what this is about and you want to read it, I would check up trigger warnings because some people might not love a book like this. It was interesting. I enjoyed it. I've never read anything like this before, and yeah, 4 stars. Okay, so in February I read 4 books. The first one was If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. You guys, this book crushed me. It crushed me. Like, it crushed me and then it crushed me again and again. This, like, I've never, like, this was emotional damage. Like, this was, like, literally pain. It was pain in a book, and I loved it. I gave it a 5-star. The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, I gave this one a 3-star. It was really good. I love Lynn Painter's writing, and I love the amount of Taylor Swift references she puts in her books. Like, I'm a sucker for that. I am a sucker for that so bad. I'm such a Swiftie. I loved this book, but books like these, I feel like with like the day repeating itself, it's not that it got boring. It was good, and there were, like, the start kind of got slow, but then it was good. And I did enjoy it, but I just feel like it wasn't anything super different, didn't really keep me on my toes. So 3-star, very neutral about this book. Then I read A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. I read this as a standalone. I know this is part of the Lancaster Prep series. I don't know if it's the first book in the series though. I feel like it's not, but I just went towards this one. I probably will not be continuing the series anyway. It wasn't a favorite, and I feel like it was a lot longer than it had to be, so I rated it a 3-star. It was good. I mean, there were parts that I definitely enjoyed, and I was like, oh, like, this is good. The relationship was cute, but it wasn't completely it for me. I just feel like it was very long, and it just kept dragging on, and I was like, okay, like, I get it. So that one was a 3-star, but then I also read the novella that comes right after it, which is Birthday Kisses by Monica Murphy, and I rated that one a 2-star. Yeah. It was like a really quick novella. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like 50 to 80 pages or something. Just kind of shows you where they're at. It was good. I just felt like it was so cheesy. Like, so cheesy. So, it was not my favorite, but whatever. Okay, in March we had 4 books read. The first one was Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover is controversial, I know, but I enjoy her books. Sue me. This one, surprisingly, I gave a 5-star. And I feel like a lot of people are gonna be surprised about that because this one, like, nobody talks about, and the people who do talk about this say that it's weird, it's different, they don't like it. This book is weird, and that's why I like it. I gave this one a 5-star easily, and I had to think about that though because it was a really weird book and it was really different, but I'm like, you know what? The whole time I was like,
what happens next? What happens next? Oh my God, who is this?
I loved it. I thoroughly loved it and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Normal People by Sally Rooney. I gave this one a 3-star. I read this one in 1 or 2 days. I mainly read this one really quick because my friend recommended it to me and we were also talking about how there's a TV show and I really wanted to watch the TV show. Fun fact, I didn't finish the TV show because I got bored, which is funny because I've heard that a lot of people prefer the TV show over the book. Anyway, the book was okay. Sally Rooney's writing is not for me. I just feel like it's just very all over the place in a way. I've heard really good things about some of her other books, but I'm probably not gonna pick any up because reading this was a bit of a challenge, I'm not gonna lie. Then we had Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher, and I rated this a 3-star as well. This was not one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books. In the beginning, I was like, this is so good, and I was loving it. I thought it was really cool, really different. But when I found out what was going on, and then the ending, I'm like, this is so, like, I was expecting something completely different. If you've read Layla, you might understand, and you've read this, you might understand where my thought process was going. I thought it was something like that, but it just was kind of cheesy for me, to be honest. Last one in March was Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This one was probably my least favorite in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I did enjoy it, but I just felt like also this one was like kind of like long and there were parts I was getting bored. And I have to say, I'm not the biggest fan of Iris. I just kind of felt like she was a pick-me. Like, I rated this one a 4-star though. I might have to bump it down to 3.5. Yeah. Jumping into April, I read The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. I love this one. It was one of my favorites of this year so far, 5-star. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, I rated a 3-star, which was shocking to me. I thought I was gonna love it because people talk about this like there's no tomorrow. Like, out of any Colleen Hoover book, this is the one where everyone's like,
This is the best Colleen Hoover book.
it was like, it was okay, but I feel like it was not my favorite out of all of her books. Like, I don't even know if this would make it to the top 5. I really don't think so. But it wasn't a terrible read. Okay, and then, can I swear on YouTube? Well, I'll bleep it out. I read You're That Bitch and Other Cute Lessons About Being Unapologetically Yourself by Bretman Rock. And this is the first book I tabbed. Can you see how the tabs like match the cover? Like, be proud of me for that. Can you see this? This was really cute. I followed Bretman Rock for a long time. I rated this a 5. Really cute lessons in here, good stories about his life. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun book to read outside, just chilling. It was good. Last one of April was Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood, and people are gonna hate me for this, but I rated this a 2-star. I loved The Love Hypothesis, so I thought I was gonna like eat this up, but to me this just dragged on. I was getting so bored. It was not it for me, unfortunately. Okay, May was probably my best reading month so far. I read 6 books in May, I think. Okay, so first of all, I read A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. This was my first ever Nicholas Sparks read, and I was nervous that it was gonna be like really cheesy, but it was so good. I loved this. And then I was really sad because I watched the movie, because I'd never seen the movie before. And I watched the movie after reading this and I was so disappointed because it was so different and the book was just so much better. I loved this. I rated it a 5-star. Okay, then I read Have I Told You This Already? Stories I Don't Want to Forget to Remember by Lauren Graham. This was like one of the best memoirs I've ever read. I read this in a day. Like, she's so good at writing, I swear. It was just so funny. It was so good, lighthearted. I loved it so much. This is also a 5-star. Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. Kathleen Glasgow. Kathleen Glasgow. I rated this one a 3-star. The beginning of this one was really hard to get through. I just felt like it was dragging on and on and on. The second half of the book was more fast-paced, and I did enjoy it altogether, but it's not one of those books that I'm probably ever going to want to reread. I just kind of felt like, okay, I read it, it was decent, moving on. I wanted to like this one more than I did, but whatever, it's fine. 3 stars. Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I was really hoping I would enjoy this more than I did. This was like a 2.5, 3-star for me. I loved Every Summer After. I'm pretty sure I gave that one a 5-star. And I'm Canadian, so I love the Canadian references in this book, but this one felt really slow to me, kind of boring. It just wasn't it, unfortunately. The next one I actually read on my Kindle. It was my first ever read on my Kindle. I read 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, which I'm so excited about because I had wanted to read Whoa, my mouth was going faster than my head. That was a 5-star. It was so, so good. It reminded me of If He Had Been With Me a little bit. Next, I read the first book in the Knock 'Em Out series, which is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. It's my first Lucy Score book. I really liked it. To be honest, I was afraid that this was gonna drag on because I had also heard in previous reviews that this book is good, but it just drags. And to me, it didn't. I got through this fairly quickly. I think I read this in 3 days and it never really seemed to drag. The ending got a little weird. I just felt like it was kind of out of place compared to the rest of the book in a way. I think I gave it a 4 stars. And I'm hoping to read the second one very soon. So that brings us to this month, right?
January, February, March, April, May, June, yeah.
I'm filming this on June 20 something. So there's still a little bit of the month left to go, but so far I've read The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda, which I gave a 5-star. This was my first thriller read in a while. I loved it. It was so good, so fast-paced, kept me on my toes. It was so good. Then I read the final book in the Dreamland Billionaire series, which was Final Offer. This was probably my favorite book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I loved Cal and Alana probably better than any of the brothers or their wives, girlfriends, whatever. And honestly, I was nervous about it being so long because Terms and Conditions felt like it dragged for me, but this one didn't. I really, really enjoyed this. 5-star. Then on my Kindle, I read Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which was a novella, and it's really cool. If you don't know, that novella is basically set up to be the book is in letters, letter format, like a note. That type of letter. You know what I mean? It's you know how Daisy Jones and the Six is interview format? Well, this novella was letters format. It was really good. I liked that one. It was okay. I gave it a 5-star. I read it in I think a little less than an hour. The whole time I was like,
oh my God, what's happening? What's going on? What's going on?
It was decent. So, yeah. Well, decent enough. I gave it a 5-star. Okay, the next one I also read on my Kindle. I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. That was also a 5-star. That book I read in 2 days, and it was so good. It was so good. I loved it. If you have not already read The Housemaid, read it. Okay, and that brings us to right now. I'm currently reading The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I'm not really far in. I'm 20 pages in, but so far it's okay. And then I'm also reading The Housemaid's Secret, I think it's called, which is the sequel to The Housemaid. I'm reading that one on my Kindle. I'm 50 pages in, and that one's going good so far too. So I'm hoping to get those 2 done by the end of June. So the first one, favorite book so far. This one's easy. If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. This one just impacted me so much. I'm never gonna forget this book. I can't wait to go back in and reread it. This one was definitely my favorite so far. Least favorite book so far. Unfortunately, that would be Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I really thought I would like it, and I really wanted to get Love Theoretically, but I'm I don't know if I'm gonna because I just did not like this one at all. I'm not gonna lie. Best sequel you read so far. I think the only sequels I read were It Starts With Us and Terms and Conditions. And out of those 2, I'd probably pick Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. But I'm currently, as I said, reading The Handmaid's Secret. And because I love The Handmaid so much, I'm assuming that I'll probably like The Handmaid's Secret more than I like Terms and Conditions. But I don't know. Okay, most anticipated release. You already know. If He Had Been With Me was my favorite book so far this year. So my most anticipated release is If Only I Had Told Her by Laura Nolan. I I don't know when it comes out. I think it's September, maybe October, but I'm so excited for that. I'm so ready for that book to wreck me. Book out of your comfort zone. Those would probably be The Only Survivors and The Handmaid, because I wasn't really reading thrillers. I don't remember the last time I read a thriller. I knew I liked thriller, but I was on such a romance kick and stuff that I just kind of never really picked one up. But those are out of my comfort zone and I loved those. This one and that one. I read those so fast. I loved them. I'm hoping to read more thrillers soon. A book you didn't expect to like. So as I said, I rated this one like fairly decent. I gave it a 3-star, I think it was. But honestly, because of the way I heard that Sally Rooney's writing style was like very different, and she doesn't like add quotations when people are talking and stuff, I was really nervous and I was really assuming that I was gonna have to push my way through this and that I was not gonna enjoy it, but I did. It was not one of my favorites and it was not an exciting read, but out of all the books I've read so far, I did not expect to enjoy this one, and I did. A book that I think is underrated. I'm gonna have to say both of these ones because I never hear about this one. Out of all the Colleen Hoover books, I never hear about Without Merit. And so I really did not care to read this. When I first got into reading, I was like a Colleen Hoover stan. She was like the only author I was reading. And so I wanted to read all of her books, but I was never really, I didn't care about this one. I was like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm so glad I read this. I loved it. And I think it's really underrated. I feel like no one talks about it. And when people do talk about it, it's like,
Oh, it's weird. It's different.
I love it. Like, I love it. And then The Friend Zone, I also haven't heard a lot about, and when I do, I feel like it's rated very, like, mildly. Like, some people just don't enjoy it. Some people rate it kind of like 3-star zone. I loved it. This was like an easy 5-star for me. I love the characters. I love the story. I overall enjoyed it thoroughly. So yeah, these 2 books I would say are underrated. Okay, so a new author that I read this year. So for that one, I'm gonna say there's a couple, I think, but I'm gonna say Abby Jimenez and Lucy Score were my favorite new authors because I really did enjoy The Friend Zone and I really enjoyed the first book of the Knock 'Em Out series and I can't wait to read the other 2. And I just feel like Lucy Score writes so much, but she writes in a way that like you get so lost in the book and you don't even realize you're in the middle of a 600-page book. Like it just goes by so quick. And obviously I just really enjoyed Abby Jimenez, her writing and her characters. Okay, the last question on my book tag today is a book you thought you'd like but didn't. I'm gonna say A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime and Meet Me at the Lake. I had such high hopes for this one because I loved Every Summer After, but it just fell short. I was bored, I didn't really love the characters. Like, I'm sad to say it, like I really wanted to love it, but I didn't. And then this one, I kind of impulsively just bought at the bookstore because I read the back and I'm like,
Oh, this is different. This sounds like it could be cool.
and then it just dragged on and I was getting bored and I'm like,
Okay, I get it.
it was a lot. I wouldn't say I did not like this book because there were definitely parts I enjoyed, but it was definitely not as good as I thought it was gonna be. Okay, you guys, so that was my entire mid-year wrap-up and tag. I read altogether 25 books. Those were all my thoughts. Let me know some of the books that you read so far this year that you've enjoyed. Let me know where you're at in your reading goal. Be sure to leave a like on this video and again, subscribe if you're not already. I'm so glad to be back on BookTube and I hope to see you guys really soon again. Thanks for watching. Ooh, that was a cringy ending. Whatever.